Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. I'm thinking of this in terms of humans, but maybe our corporations are having a midlife crisis. I'm not really sure. Definitely an identity crisis and some really serious issues within a lot of companies. And we're going to talk about that today. Picking up from where we left off last time, what's wrong with the culture of many companies, especially with AI and so much more. And this is all in her wheelhouse as an enterprise and executive coach. And I also want to add here, I didn't realize this, but she is also a certified artificial intelligence. I don't even know what the term is. You know your stuff, and that's just a piece of the credentials that she has as our professional of the year. She's the woman behind Inotar. Angela Doyle is back with us. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you, Steve? How was your 4th?
It was fantastic. You know, a lot going on, a lot of fun. How about you?
It was great. Lots of family, lots of friends, lots of, cooking as usual. Mm-hmm. But yes, it was wonderful. And
then there are some people that were happy to have a few days off because they're not happy where they work. So
exactly. Yes.
Something we'll dig into today. I just looked at all of your credentials. Gotta tell you, never realized how many you have and how deep it rolls. It's not like mentioning the AI. You are, is it certified in machine learning? Do I have that right?
Yeah, I have. So one of the expert things that I do is I do transformations for organizations. And these are usually big corporate organizations, okay? Fortune 20, Fortune 500. And these are rolling out huge transformations that affect like the supply chain. During COVID, they were having some issues with that. One big, huge company was having issues with that. And then also, value stream mapping. How do we really reorganize our organization, restructure it, redesign it around value instead of lines of business? And so how do we organize around now is AI. AI transformations are taking the lead in a lot of these organizations in corporate America right now. And everybody's getting on this train, right? This gravy train of AI. But I think what's happening is that they don't realize that there's also an identity crisis. Now, maybe that's a strong word, but there is certainly an identity issue here because people are fearing AI because of it being like a replacement of, and this is what we talked about before, about the current role, automation. We have a lot of automation right now that is replacing maybe some workers. You think about, car industries that have, that used to be workers, putting these cars together, and now they're robots, right? Who are based in like some machine learning as well as, other artificial intelligence capabilities. So how is this affecting our overall culture as an organization?
As much as the technology is fantastic and can be very helpful, side note, I think you'll agree, every expert with AI says you have to watch it. You can't just set it and forget it. But, past that, do you feel that there was cultural issues in terms of just the humanity within companies already? And then AI's been around, but now it's been fully embraced. And now it's even more impersonal within the workplace. And therein lies the identity issue because people feel very disconnected with their job.
Yeah. The statistics are showing and that people are actually like 70% of people right now are feeling a little disconnected with the company. And that disengagement is shown up in a lot of different ways. It's shown up in innovation droughts, talent churn, and it's shown up in people that are not really engaged, and ultimately leaving, So when we think about, and trust, there's a lack of trust here, a lack of understanding, a lack of trust. And we have to think about this when we talk and we communicate these new technologies like AI. The worst thing you can do is to say, hey, we're going to replace everybody with AI in 2025, and we're going to have, everything's going to be AI, and we are going to reduce our workforce by this much. I don't know how many people have done that I've seen and I have heard. And I think that's the worst thing you can do, because your people are your best assets. New innovation comes through human-centered AI. And leaders and organizations that understand this are actually creating a new type of leader. They're providing leaders with emotional intelligence training, so that AI augments their current role. It doesn't replace their role; it augments their current role. So you get the best of both worlds.
To even further illustrate what you're talking about, and this was a news story, Microsoft laid off 9,000 people in the last week or so. And there are reports from inter-office communication that they said, if you want advice on what your next step should be, use ChatGPT. And to me, that basically Microsoft was saying to those 9,000 employees, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Bye. I can't even fathom, that's what those employees were left with. Now, Microsoft is huge. 9,000 people is just a piece of their workforce. It's still 9,000 people without a job now. And that's their culture, apparently. That's how they depart ways or part ways with employees, just further illustrating what's going on with the culture in these companies. Now, we're focusing on the negative here. Let's look at the other side of it. What are companies doing differently? The smart ones that are thriving, that are embracing the technology, the culture is good. What are they doing?
Well, for one thing, let me take you back to what you were just saying. AI is changing roles faster than the culture can adapt. That's what's happening. That's what our problem is. We've got to identify what the problem is before we can actually implement a valuable and educated decision, right? And I think people are not measuring that. We're talking about data-driven decisions, but are we really measuring what matters? Are we really measuring happiness? Are we really measuring, performance? Yeah, the performance might be good, but if the performance is up, your KPIs are up, your metrics and your dashboards look great, that doesn't really measure employee engagement. So how do we measure employee engagement? And that's where the answer to your question is. Smart companies are measuring beyond the KPIs, beyond the metrics and the dashboards. They're measuring happiness. They're measuring how well are we engaged and connected as an organization. And leaders are being trained, like I said, in emotional intelligence and how we can create a safe workplace that has clarity, that has purpose. People are looking for purpose. Leaders are looking for transformation, but the teams are looking for meaning and purpose. So I think that's the whole key. We got to change a little bit of how we measure what performance really is, because if you have a lot of people that are performing, but they're not engaged, sooner or later, you're going to lose some of those people. It's just an illusion.
How do you measure a company's happiness? Or the employees within?
Well, some people and some leaders are taking time to have a pause where they actually connect with the people that are doing the work. They connect with their teams. They connect with the organization. How they do that depends on how big your organization is, of course. But, they're taking time, and maybe once every month, once every 2 weeks, they touch base with them and say, okay, tell me, Where are we out of alignment here? Where are we disengaged? How are people feeling? And they sit back and they listen before they lead. That's what they do. And I think that is how we reset culture. Culture doesn't change. It changes. And then with AI, it's changing, but it changes and it's a changing. And as it's changing, we're not seeing it. It's a silent thing until all of a sudden people are leaving. Innovation is starving.
So when we talk about the EQ, the emotional intelligence, is that something that companies should truly recognize and potentially coach on and or teach their employees?
Absolutely. Especially the leaders. And I'm not just talking about top leaders, VPs, C-suite. I'm talking about mid-level leaders and directors as well, and leaders of people, leaders of engineering. I think everyone should be, somewhat tuned in to emotional intelligence.
And is that something that you could help companies with?
Yeah, absolutely. I do that all the time. I help my teams, from the teams all the way up to the leaders. How are we doing? How are we connecting? And leading by example. From a coach, that's, I have to embody this. And I have to be able to not just say it, I have to be it. And that's the difference too. Being able to have the courage to lead in this way, to listen, to understand, to ask questions, to probe a little bit.
Can anybody be taught emotional intelligence?
According to the research, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Do I think everyone can? I think you have to be open to it.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in traditional ways of leading, and traditional ways of being able to manage your teams, and leading is not managing, by the way, then I think that could be very difficult for you. But emotional intelligence absolutely can be learned. I believe that. I've seen it.
I have to believe that for this to work, for the culture to change, that these leaders need to be fully transparent, need to be truly authentic, and your team needs to feel that. If they're not, they're going to put the blocks up. They're not going to fully trust you. So it's almost as if you really have to change your mindset if you want to change the culture within your company.
Absolutely. And that transparency doesn't come easy. You have to think about it. It takes courage to be transparent. It takes courage to lead with humbleness. But those are the best leaders.
Yeah.
When we remove the egos, when we keep and check the egos at the door, that's the best companies. And you don't have to worry about getting good people. People will be knocking down the door of that organization, wanting to work there.
What's the next step? Let's say there's a leader. This is resonating. They, if they're smart, they already know that there's some cultural challenges within their company. Maybe they don't want to face it, but they know, things are a little maybe out of balance. What are some of the steps that somebody could take to change things around?
I think setting time to listen, setting time to find out, listen before you lead, and setting time to find out what the team and what the programs really are feeling every week. Instead of answering the question, just how are we engaged? How's everybody feel? Where are we in alignment? Where are we not in alignment? And then sit there and listen before you lead, taking it in. The best thing that a CTO did with some of the teams that I was coaching him, is he said, I want one-on-one with the teams. Make it happen. So we did. And those are the teams that we're implementing. And by the way, that was one of the best teams. They ended up transforming some financial hedge fund application in record-breaking time.
Wow.
Small team. And I think they did it because of their connection, their trust, and they had clarity and they had purpose. So this is a big thing.
That word clarity has come up for me in the last year in many different ways. And I don't want to keep using the same word, but in many different situations, it's like there's no clarity here. And I'd like to substitute that word for another one because I don't want to keep using it, but it seems to be a common theme in many different areas where you feel like you're out of touch, even if you are so plugged into, where you work and maybe the people you're connected with, but there's still missing clarity. It's almost uncomfortable. You feel like you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, to finish the masterpiece, if that makes sense.
Yeah. One of the things we do, what we coach to is having a clear vision in organizations. So from the C-suite to VPs to directors, what is the vision for this quarter? What is the vision for this year? Where is the company going? And communicating that downward as well as upstream. A lot of times it's communicated up in the clouds of the organization at the enterprise level, but it needs to be communicated all the way down to the teams that are implementing it, to the very last person, so that we are open about what our OKRs, our objectives and key results for this particular quarter is, this particular year is, and how are we meeting them? How is that connected to the overall strategy and the purpose of this community or this enterprise? And how are you as a team member contributing, no matter who you are?
Mm-hmm. And it's not just about numbers. Usually, a lot of this comes back to sales, and that's what it's looked at, and I get it. That's important, bottom line, but it's not just about numbers. It's how are we going to grow in the next quarter as a company? What are hey, we have a fundraiser coming up. There's an opportunity maybe to meet new people, leads, whatever it might be, elevate our company with exposure from this one event. I'm going hypothetical here, but different things that are coming up that can make the team feel more comfortable, more connected without just talking about, we need to increase sales. Get that done. Thank you. And now back to work, everyone.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good point, Steve. That's a fantastic point. We think about let's increasing sales, but what about another metric? Why are people buying our product? What type of solution are we bringing to the people, and what's their needs? What is our consumers' needs? Yeah. So when we answer that question, whatever those needs may be, and we come up with options on solutions that might differentiate us between other companies and other corporations, we have a lot of potential of growth there.
For sure. And also identifying how your key customers' needs may have slightly changed, because it's always a moving target. And competition and all of that. And I see this a lot. I work in media. I'm a marketing company, and I will have account executives from media companies reach out to me, and I work with them, but then they'll try to sell some other products or whatever it might be. And you can feel the anxiety of them trying to make numbers, because they're trying to pull things together. And I want to buy and help them, but it's like, that's not meeting the needs of my clients. I'm sorry, give me something else.
Yeah. And, you asked me, what's one thing that, we could change to feel more connected? Well, we listen, we respond, and remember that is where we listen and then we lead. And that is where we reset culture. And it takes time. We didn't get here overnight. And we're not going to get out of here overnight. Culture change takes time. And we all want transformation. We want to be able to transform, our company, our organization, be able to build more, sell more, faster pace, automation, being able to do this in a faster and implement our delivery pipeline in a much more faster way. But not at the expense of quality and not at the expense of the credibility of your leadership and your trust with your people. Yeah. When we do that, we see organizations like you just met that has lost that credibility.
Yeah.
And Tesla, they laid off, people left. Some of their key engineers left because they had a mandate to come back to work. Google, they had this flexible culture, flexible workplace, and all of a sudden, they're like saying, okay, now we got to badge in. We have to make sure you badge in every day, and you've got to, this hybrid type of thing that's happening, and they lost credibility. That's been in the news.
Yeah.
There's much more to it than I have time to go into it right now. But the key is you can't coach performance in a place where people, they don't want to belong. Okay. And if we actually keep our metrics the way it is, we're only fooling ourselves, because it's an illusion to sooner or later someone is going, your key people are going to leave.
Yeah.
How do you keep them? Maintain that culture where trust is valuable. And trust is something, it's very easy to break, but once you break it, it's very hard to get back.
And on the Google thing, that I believe, call it 12 years ago-ish, they were the trailblazers in changing the culture. They made it very employee friendly with the cafe, childcare, the gym, all of it. We got everything for you right here. And to your point, well, and then they changed it a little bit along the way. And I work with Google. They many times farm it out. There's other vendors. When you get a phone call from Google, if you're working with them, on a paid, you're buying ads from Google, their team working with you, they're not even working for Google. It's another company that they bring in, which kind of surprises me. Google is huge. Why do you have to go outside? But maybe it's in other countries and they're saving money. Yeah. We're just about out of time. But when they do that, Steve, they're also bringing whatever that culture is, that third-party culture, in to your customers. And so that's why a lot of times people, when they start out small, like Google started out, a lot smaller, they were a startup, right? They had great customer service. Tesla had great customer service. GoDaddy had great customer service.
That's right. But when they farm out to other third parties,
you're right.
They lose that culture, they lose the credibility.
You're 100% right, because I don't, people on our team, I don't engage with those people that Google, farms this out to, because they've made promises in the past, even just information. Hey, can you give me just a report on that? They never delivered. So I'm like, when they reach out with an email, hi, I'm here, I'm your representative, and I work, through Google, but we're not Google. And it even says right in their signature on the email and everything. I just hit delete. I just throw it away, because I don't want to work with them, because
you're disengaged. Right.
They're disengaged. I'm disengaged. I really don't need them. We have But if it was truly Google and they were fully plugged in, I'd look at it differently. Great talk today. How do we connect with you? If somebody's looking to change the culture in their company, even emotional intelligence, so big, how do we connect with you?
I am at inatar.com, as well as you can find me on LinkedIn, and you can get a hold of us there. But that's where you can find me. Okay,
and that's spelled INOATAR.com, correct?
That's correct.
Beautiful. I know we didn't finish last time this conversation, so I'm glad we got to it this time. So important with what's going on in the culture in our companies, and looking forward next time we get together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thanks,
you have Angela. A great week.
You too. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.